Annyeonghaseyo, all my beautiful people. Welcome to the alternate point of view. Today, we are going to talk about a very disturbing case of incest and grooming of a minor. Pedophiles are rampant in our society today, but rarely do we get to see a glimpse of the absolute depths that this can go. So in 2018, police arrested a man, 34 years old, Jonathan Quillis, and he was convicted of battery, sexual assault, and murder of his 16-year-old niece, Ayanna Sawyer. Shocking details would come out during this trial that would tell that not only was Ayanna Sawyer murdered, but she was pregnant with his child, 5 months pregnant, and that he also assaulted her sister. While the two were not biologically related, Jonathan was married to Ayanna's aunt, who is named Naomi Mobley. And today I'm going to go over what happened to this teen and the trial that followed 5 years later. This just ended, and after he was apprehended, okay? But first, let's give our condolences to the family. Let's please pray for their loss and hope that they can find a way. So just take a moment to think about Ayanna, her sister, her aunt, her family, everyone. So this case started out as a missing teen. Ayanna Sawyer went missing on the 20th of December, 2018. Her aunt Jametta Mobley asked Ayanna what she wanted for Christmas on the morning of the 19th. And Ayanna, like any teen, said she wanted money. Well, her aunt did not like giving money for Christmas, so she wanted Ayanna to tell her about a present she really wanted. That was the last communication they had, and Ayanna went missing. It wasn't like Ayanna to never turn off her phone. She replied to her aunts even during class. The Mobleys were a very tight-knit family. After school, she typically went home or to Naomi and Jonathan's house. The family collectively began looking for the teen. From school to friends, houses between them, they covered a lot of ground. She was last seen leaving the school perimeter at 11 a.m. on the 19th of December. She was wearing a white hoodie with the word pink written across the front, Victoria's Secret pink brand. She also had on light blue jeans as well as black and white Adidas shoes. As a group, when they went through Ayanna's belongings for some sort of clue, Ayanna's aunt, Margie Mobley, realized that the only thing missing from her clothes was lingerie and undergarments. This was a pretty big red flag for them. And the whole family had only one thing on their mind: Jonathan Quillis. Love life. A straight A student, a Terry Parker High School, Ayanna was only 14 years old when her uncle started grooming her. And according to her sister, she often walked in on her uncle and sister behaving inappropriately. There was a lot of kissing and touching, and her sister just ignored it. And she kept Ayanna's secret simply to protect her and to stay on good terms with her. Sisters stick together, right? So this is completely understandable. Jonathan often told Ayanna that when she turned 18, they would run away together. And her sister had been referred to as SS to protect her identity. SS failed to mention to her sister that SS was only 13 years old when Jonathan Quilles had sexually assaulted her. Wanting to put this terrible incident behind her, she never mentioned this incident to anyone and did what most abuse victims do, pretending everything was normal. Right away, I can tell this man is a predator because he was trying to get with minors and convinced a 14-year-old Ayanna that this was okay to be with him, even making her believe he loved her. What about Jonathan Quilles? Jonathan Quilles became a part of the family in 2013 when he married Naomi Mobley. Since then, he had inappropriate interactions with the girls. He was employed at a junkyard. There wasn't anything remarkable about him. With time, the two got careless, and in 2018, during a family Thanksgiving get-together, Ayanna's grandmother saw the two hugging intimately. It wasn't the kind of hug you give to your uncle. It was romantic in nature, and this disturbed her. Immediately, she went up to Ayanna's mother, Kimberly, and told her to keep her daughters away from that guy. Kimberly knew something was very wrong. Jametta Mobley also noticed Jonathan would look at Ayanna in a very sexual manner, the way a man looks at a woman. It's highly surprising that Naomi was oblivious to the entire thing. On the 3rd of December 2018, just 16 days before she disappeared, Ayanna confessed to her mother about being pregnant. She was 5 months pregnant by this point, and she told her mother someone named Jose was the father. Jametta added up to some straight facts. She realized that Ayanna wasn't dating anyone at that time, and she got pregnant after a vacation at her grandparents' in Georgia. Recalling the dates, particularly because they had all been at that house on July 7th, on her mother's birthday, she realized who the father was. What Kimberly didn't know was Jose was SS and Ayanna's code for Jonathan Quilles. The teen was pregnant with his baby, and Jonathan was trying his best to convince her to get an abortion. At the same time, Naomi was also pregnant with Quilles' child. They had found out in June 2018. Jonathan supported that pregnancy, but he was constantly trying to get Ayanna to get rid of her baby. As text messages would reveal, SS also testified to Jonathan being unhappy with Ayanna's pregnancy. Ayanna wrote about his anger in her diary as well. On a family group chat, Jametta, who was always quite open about her opinions and said to the sisters that she knew Jonathan was the father, Naomi got furious, and she was angry about these allegations and confronted her nieces, both SS and Ayanna. They denied any inappropriate relationship with Jonathan. Naomi then pointed out someone else who could be the father, Ayanna's next door neighbor. Ayanna was allegedly involved with a neighbor named Kamar Humphrey. The two met as he was walking his siblings to the bus stop at school. They exchanged Snapchat handles, and there was some flirting. Initially, during the deposition, he denied having slept with Ayanna, but later admitted they had carnal relations one time. Kamar was an adult while Ayanna was an underage child, so makes sense why he would lie. While he continued to live across the street from her, they stopped talking to each other. The family says he was guilty of sexual battery against Ayanna, which is non-consensual sexual contact or touching of a person's intimate parts, clothed or unclothed, without consent or against the victim's will. Kamar claims he and Ayanna slept together consensually in March of 2018. Remember those dates, y'all. So, the confession. Police were treating this as a missing persons case and exhausted all leads. It was almost as if Ayanna fell off the face of the earth. That is until a man named Joseph Quillis came forward with a huge tip. He told police that on the 20th of December, his brother, Jonathan Quillis, had called him 4 times. When he finally picked up the phone, Jonathan Quillis confessed to killing Ayanna. This gave police grounds for a thorough investigation, warrants, and everything. Joseph's story. Joseph Quillis informed the police that Jonathan had been planning this for months, as he was afraid Ayanna's pregnancy would destroy his family. Joseph did not believe the story to be true until he learned that Ayanna was missing. He said his brother told her to meet him at Ace Pick-a-Part, where he worked, as the unsuspecting victim was sitting at the back of his van. He first tried to strangle her, but couldn't deal with her accusing eyes. He then shot her in the chest with a 9mm gun. Then he wrapped up her body in a carpet, threw it into a dumpster. He selected one that was full so that it would be transported to Otis Road landfill. Since Jonathan's mother worked at a morgue, he had some idea of how the body would decompose. He also got rid of the vehicle, destroying it later. Keep in mind, he worked at a auto pick-apart place where things are destroyed all the time. Officers did not disclose any of this information to Jonathan, though. He was interrogated separately, and he denied everything, even a relationship with Ayanna. Jonathan changed his phone number and told everyone he sold his van right around the time Ayanna went missing. How convenient. Which was highly suspicious, as it is. But detectives were able to pull his text records. Remember, the data doesn't lie. His phone records showed a completely different truth. There were highly incriminating text messages between Jonathan and Ayanna. Some of these were incriminating, such as, "Just making it so easy for me to leave you alone. Goodbye, Yaya. I'm just so in love with you, I will kill you and cry. You're stuck with me until you die. I love you way too much to let you go. I'm very angry with you now. I'm going to hit you later." What? This is emotional manipulation. Keep in mind, she's only 15. Given that Ayanna was still a child and she was easily groomed, additionally, there were Snapchat messages that Jonathan and Ayanna shared in August of 2018. That is when Ayanna disclosed her pregnancy, and he was upset about this. He was upset for her not telling him sooner. He promised to be with her when she turned 18, but also claimed to be heartbroken and angry with her. His call record showed how he called his brother 4 times on December 20th, corroborating with what Joseph Quillis had reported. Now the trial. Years later, 5 years later, in September of 2023, the case finally went to trial. In between, the police had managed to gather evidence through recordings to convict Jonathan. One of his cousins wore a wire, and they had an over 2-hour-long conversation recorded of Jonathan admitting to his crime. He spoke of the gun he used, which he incidentally fired at a gun range the same day. He also admitted that he threw away her backpack separately. The investigation into Sawyer's disappearance took a disconcerting turn when Ace Pick-a-Part general manager Gary Lindros gave police some interesting information. As Jonathan's boss, he said Jonathan punched in for work at Ace Pick-a-Part at 8:08 a.m. He didn't leave the premises until 5:09 p.m. The following day, December 20th, he arrived at 8:02 a.m. and clocked out at 2:48 p.m. The official time cards painted a picture of an employee dutifully sticking to his work hours. However, the surveillance footage from the premises revealed a red minivan departing the lot at approximately 11:17 a.m. on December 19th, 2018. Curiously, it returned around 12:30 p.m. Jonathan was known to drive that type of car. His boss also said that Jonathan had not been granted permission to leave the premises on the 19th of December, nor had he officially clocked out. He also saw Jonathan carrying duct tape, even though there is no typical duty on the company property that would require duct tape. I mean, although I will say it is an Ace Pick-a-Part, it is a automobile parts place, so duct tape it is. The implication was clear, though. Jonathan, a man with access to unrestricted areas of the company property and the large commercial dumpster, had inexplicably left his workplace during the time frame that Ayanna was last seen at her high school. Remember, he left at 11:17 a.m. and returned at around 12:30 p.m. During his incarceration at Duval County Jail, he confessed to killing his niece to an inmate named Damian Hatch. Hatch said the confession happened after their Bible study, and Jonathan told him his niece had been pregnant with his child when he killed her. Despite an exhaustive effort that spanned 16 grueling days, investigators combed through an astonishing 5,000 tons of waste and refuse, relentlessly sifting through the debris of the Otis Road landfill. During the proceedings, a former CSI detective and retired canine officer recounted their experiences from the intensive search, disclosing that while items connected to the case were discovered, the one thing they desperately sought remained elusive: Ayanna's body. At the courtroom, hung on the testimony of witnesses, the general manager of the landfill took the stand and stated that looking for a missing person on this sprawling landfill was like searching for a needle in a haystack. This was the only thing that worked in Jonathan's favor. No body meant he could not be convicted of murder. And the defense used this point, arguing that Ayanna could very well be alive. However, the witness testimonies and circumstantial evidence is enough to find him guilty. Close friends of Ayanna came forward to say that the day she disappeared, she had told them she would be living with Jonathan for 2 weeks. Jonathan's own brother testified against him, as well as his wife Naomi, who said he was restless in the days leading up to the December 19th. And soon as Ayanna was missing, he started sleeping really well. Jonathan Quillis was finally found guilty on 2 counts of murder, that of Ayanna and her unborn child. He was also found guilty of sexual battery since he engaged with a minor. I feel so many adults failed this teen, considering how close this family was. It is unfortunate that Ayanna Sawyer was left to be preyed upon by not just one, but two adults. She was groomed. She didn't know better. She was a child. I hope that Jonathan Quillis gets a sentence that will bring some type of closure to the family. Of course, it will take them a very long time to heal from this trauma of losing such a young child and a soon-to-be-born child. But hopefully they'll rest easy knowing that the predator that took Ayanna's life is behind bars. Again, I just want to say this entire family failed this child. There wasn't a system. There wasn't anything. They all knew it. They all were aware. And it's very sad that this happened. And as much as I am grateful that Jonathan Quillis was found guilty without her body, I can't imagine what it must be like to be the family not having the body. And I can't imagine how much they are blaming themselves day in and day out for this occurring to not one of their children, but two of their children. And I just hope that this will be a lesson to everyone to pay attention to what's going on in your homes, who your kids are hanging out with, where they're going, where they're spending a lot of time, and ask questions. And don't be afraid to call someone out for what they are. Call a spade a spade. He is and was a predator. He was a groomer. He was her family, and she trusted him. And these are the people that will hurt you the most. So everyone out there, if you need help, have any questions, please, please reach out. Please, please don't be silent. It is very important that we end this child grooming now. It's happening every day, everywhere. I appreciate everyone's time listening to this case and waiting for this to come out on my channel. It was covered on many other channels, but I wanted to get the full trial in and the full story. Again, it took 5 years for this to finally go to trial. 5 years for this family to finally get some type of answer. I don't want to say closure because there'll never be closure. I thank you. Kamsahamnida. Welcome back, all of my subscribers. New subscribers, welcome if you are new. And don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button.